Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish podcast, Walking with Our Shadow, where we share ancient indigenous teachings of remembrance, all so we can walk and learn how to walk a path of radical self-love. Hello, everyone. It's Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish, here again. Excited to welcome you into another opportunity to sit in the circle together. I hope that you had a beautiful week and a week full of an opportunity where you were able to choose yourself. Today, as we're recording, the wind is strong here, moving, changing, bending things over. And as I look at this bamboo outside my window, I am reminded about flexibility. Flexibility has this way of being able to go with the flow. I remember my father when I was very young, very young. One of the teachings that stood out in my mind to this day was when he taught me about trees. And one of the things that he taught me was he made me look at trees and different kinds of trees and how they related to their environment and how they related to the element of wind. Some trees, some beings bend more easily. And this is not about being influenced or shaping, it's just a relationship of how to be. I remember a weeping willow that we would go to with my mother, and I would just see it, how it bent, how it moved, and how it changed with the wind. Wind is prayer and communication and pollination, and it was a big weeping willow. Had the flexibility to feel wind, change, movement, growth. And sitting and visiting that tree for years, I did. It was by this beautiful pond, and it was in an arboretum where we would go, and I would walk with my mother as she also taught me about trees. And we would collect leaves and press them in books. And then, of course, write out the scientific name, the name in English and Spanish. And I spent many years on these journeys with my parents of walking and learning from trees. And as I sit here remembering this beautiful time of fall and change and trees and visiting trees throughout the seasons and how they relate to all of the elements. They relate to water, having too much, having too little. They relate to fire. Living in California, I definitely had that experience of fire. I remember going up one time to Mount Shasta and just seeing the remains of fire. Fire leaves a mark. Wind can also leave a mark if you do not flow with it. It can uproot you, it can change you, it can break you. And that was the lesson my father was teaching me when we sat there and looked at the trees. It was a lesson of change and growth and evolution. And he would always show me the trees that stood against the wind, as he would say, that did not want change, that were not rooted enough sometimes to hold their center. And of course, it's more complicated than that. But this was just an analogy and a way of talking about how do we meet life? Are we staunch? Are we strong? Are we stubborn? Are we set so much in our ways that we actually don't have deep roots? Or that those roots have been affected so much so by the poison that we have allowed ourselves, or in the environment that we grow in, that we can't develop good root systems that actually ground us and give us life and connect us to our nature. Unlike trees, humans can move and change their environment. And sometimes it's easier for some than for others. Not everyone is living in situations with access to change. But we all have the possibility to change, maybe not in big ways, but in small ways. To look at what our roots are drawing from. Are we in situations where we're taking on too much water, too many emotions from other people? Are we in situations where the ground is dry, where our relationships do not feed us or take our water, take our energy? It all begins in the roots. Yet, so many times we're so focused on the trunk, and more importantly, so many people just love the crown of the trees. We love the crown of things, the majesty, all of those things that live in the air and that remind us of above. But then if you focus too much on your crown and how big it gets and have no roots, well then you might be more affected when it gets windy outside. Or if you are stuck in your ways and only rely upon your own strength, your own body strength, your own will strength, maybe that wind will break you at times. And this is no judgment for anyone or any being. This is just how it is. We live not in isolation, but in a world, in an environment where we are always being met with everything. Energies from all directions, from all different beings, because everyone is just trying to live. And if you're a student of mine, you would know that also when I say that, everyone and everything has an agenda. And that agenda might just be to live. How can I live? How can I nurture myself? How can I survive? How can I thrive? We're all at different stages of this experiment, this learning, this testing of life. And the lessons are in the life. We look for big lessons, big moments of inspiration. But the lessons sometimes are not getting angry when someone cuts you off in the road. Not letting that change affect your center, that small wind of someone taking your space, quote unquote, or getting in your way to drive you into a response where you are getting outside of yourself and allowing anger to take you away from your center. Now, of course, there's always moments of reaction, but so many times in that reaction, we allow ourselves down this long storyline of distraction. And a good check-in to see if you can be in relationship to everything around you is to see how others live in relationship. And in this case, we are talking about trees, willows, elms, oaks, grasses, herbs, such as bamboo. I meant bananas. Bamboos are not herbs. Bananas are herbs. Did you know that? I get confused sometimes. So as I sit here, watching all of them actually, how they are moving, tall grasses, bamboo, trees, Christmas berry trees, bananas, in this pretty extreme wind that we're experiencing here. I am both grateful for the lesson to come in so easily as we sit here today. Thank you, wind. Thank you, grasses. Thank you, trees. Thank you, herbs. So as this lesson has been with me for a very, very long time, it is a lesson that continues to grow as I grow and change. And there's no end to the wonder and the majesty and the wisdom available when I come to this lesson, not with knowing, but with the unknown, with curiosity and with courage. It is a different way of sitting with knowledge. So many people in society, because we've created a society of checks and balances that include certifications, that hold certifications in a way of learning information as more important than everyday knowledge or different ways of learning or different systems that teach from oral traditions or that teach through example. And we have seen the unbalance of that in our society as we are lacking tradespeople, where this seeking of quote unquote higher wisdom and knowledge meant university. And then that wasn't enough. Then you needed a master's and now you need a PhD. And even then, it does not guarantee you safety, security. It does not guarantee you a job or a lifestyle. So herein is a story, a few stories. Number one, where is your quest for knowledge leading you to? And what is at the end of this story, or this what I call equation, this contract? Are you doing things because you are trying to fulfill this contract with society? And can society actually support their end of the bargain? Do you come to knowledge and to wisdom because you want to conquer them? Do you want to be in that position because it feels, como se dice, more comfortable for you? Because it's your way of proving your worth. I've been in many relationships, even personal relationships, where I allowed other people this position of teaching me. Now, I love being taught, I love learning, but there is something about people being ready with an answer, being in fix-it mode, And hey, I love fixing things. This is nothing wrong. This is about a dynamic that happens sometimes. And this is not about knowing it all. This is about, are you sometimes in a dynamic, putting yourself in a position because you want to be acknowledged, accepted, and you think that means love and stability. And that is the way you reflect it back to yourself. Or are you a storm chaser? I like this imagery coming in through today. It's the wind. Thank you, wind. That is chasing knowledge for the thrill, for the exchange, knowing that it will always be bigger than you, that the nature of knowledge and wisdom is bigger than you. It has the forces of nature, of tornadoes, of windstorms, of hurricanes. What if we approach wisdom and learning in that way, knowing we will never know everything, that things are beyond our nature, and we can still, though, accept it for its own energy, not try to control it, not live in fear of it, but approach it with curiosity, allowing it to be wonderful, and allowing ourselves to be full of awe. Bianca, one of my students in Australia, who is one of the mentors that sits in the circle for cacao and for jaguar tree, super amazing human being. Once in a session, in a class, I believe, was just sharing and just out of their amazing way of being with information and not trying to grasp it, but being very flexible, just like this bamboo is. Talked about that place of wisdom and wonder meeting together. And it has been something, an imagery that has stayed with me ever since they said this a year or so ago. And so, first of all, I would like to thank Bianca for this, because it's just such a perfect, beautiful way of allowing ourselves the opportunity to live a life as we pursue knowledge in a way where we're not trying to grasp, defend, stand our ground, grasp, or because we are working with a frail ego, having to be the one to know things or feeling comfortable in that way, that instead of all of that, we can leave all of those stories aside. We can acknowledge that we've created societies that will not hold up their end of the bargain. And then instead of falling into despair, just like that weeping willow who could move through change, not hanging on to things, but going through that cycle of letting go and grief, of weeping, of water, of earth, of wind moving through you. So you can approach your life, the lesson that it is to be alive in this time, with wonder. And if we sit with esa energía, then wisdom is not far away. If we look at the Oxford Dictionary for the definition of wonder, as a noun, it is a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration, caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. as a verb, one of the definitions is desire or be curious to know something. What a powerful word. We speak about curiosity so much in my circles. That flexibility, that way of keeping a flexible mind, way, and heart. And this isn't about not having good boundaries. You can have good boundaries and still be flexible. Still be in that place of the student instead of thinking you can sit in the north only. The wisest people I know always stay curious and flexible and always allow themselves the lesson and come with an utmost humility, not to put themselves down, but to stay open that that lesson can come from any being, any situation, any time and place, and that life is just one lesson after another, where we get to choose and grow and change and evolve and go from having a 20-minute reaction to something to hopefully down to 10, to 5, to 3, to neutral. It takes time. It might take your whole life. Yet we are so quick to master things that we don't allow ourselves the lesson, the wandering to wonder, to wander around life in an ebb and a flow, to discover, to go into the unknown so we can be full of wonder. This idea of mastery also is different. And remember, we are defining things. And when I go to define them, I define them based on dictionaries that have been created by societies that have defined them for this time in this space. We're not going to root words. We might at some point, but the reason that I'm saying this is that there is a narrowness in these definitions, and that's what we always talk about here in these circles is, can we open up, stay flexible, and start understanding that our way or your certain way of being is not the only way, and that your language might be very narrow based on your stories. And if you are attached to a civilization or a society that is dominant and has thus forced their language and their way of being upon others. And this is the same and true when it comes to wisdom, wonder, and mastery. If we look at the Oxford Dictionary, mastery has control or superiority over someone or something. And I love that it's using this definition, ¿cómo se dice? No, this example, man's mastery over nature is the example that they have. And then the other one, and they're both nouns, is comprehensive knowledge or skill in a subject or accomplishment. And the sentence uses, she played with some mastery. So here we have this word, right? Master, right? Because we have that idea of master, of someone who is in charge of someone else. And because it has that imagery, we have to be careful when we are looking to master things, to become something's master. If we are looking to be in that place of wisdom and wonder, mastery is not something, not in this way, that will allow for you to actually grow and be It will keep you fighting to hold power. It will keep you in a struggle, a power struggle over nature, your nature, the nature outside of you, inside of you, the people outside of you, because that's their idea of superiority. Yet this is just one way. Unfortunately, it's a way that a lot of people in the world walk and define their quest for information and knowledge as mastery. So they go for that. They go for those certificates telling them they have mastered something. Because, I mean, it feels pretty good because here it is. It says accomplishment. Wow. So if I walk a path of quote unquote that is telling me if I master something, I accomplish and I have control and superiority, well, then of course I will walk that path. I mean, I won't, but it is telling you that. Wisdom does not give you that promise. Wisdom here is the quality of having experience, knowledge, good judgment, the quality of being wise. This is all Oxford Dictionary. It's a beingness here. It's about having experience of being. And all of this is based on experience, good judgment, quality of being, versus mastery is about only comprehensive. And I say only because I think wisdom has a lot more space than just comprehensive. But it promises you something else. Wisdom, there is no end to it. I say this because I have many people coming to indigenous practices wanting to master them, to do them right, not to be in right relationship, to do them right, to conquer them, to learn them, to be a master of them. And in the 40 plus years that I have been and will continue to, hopefully 40 more, even more, as a student, for I am a student always of this life, of this experiment. Never has it been put to me that I could be a master. That is never in any conversation, in any way. It is what is positioned as a way is to walk that one day of wisdom. It is a walk in a path of wisdom, not of mastery. So I want you to feel and just take a moment and put your hand over your heart or whatever. Take your 3 breaths. Thank you, Eek, wind is here strong today. In and out through the nose, bringing your mind, bringing it back. In and out through the nose, bringing your body back from wherever it's been wandering. In and out through the nose, bringing your essence back. Okay, we're back. And now ask your mind and your body and your essence to feel into mastery and then to feel into wisdom. Now, as you've taken that time, I want to also propose to you that this idea of mastery and this definition of it is very narrow, based on society, other nations and people look at mastery and have a different relationship. This relationship is not to conquer something, but to always be in that place of the student. Mastery, in many circles, does not mean you become an overlord of knowledge. It means that you sit there, always a student, in a place of wisdom and wonder. So today I want to crack open that term of mastery and take away the dominant relationship of one thing conquering the other and propose to you a place and a way of being and walking that is full of wisdom and wonder, where mastery holds the unknown. And one way is then to really step into the teachings that you are no greater or lesser than any being. You will never be greater than any being. You can never, quote unquote, master something, become something or someone's master. You can just be in relationship, in a guardianship, in a mentorship. This way, there is no end, no illusion, no responsibility, or como se dice, stress. So as I propose this different way of being, where you do not have to spend most of your life struggling to get the information, and then the rest of the life protecting that information and protecting your stance and your posture and your standing. Because what happens when you're doing that, when you declare mastery over something, then you're just in a power struggle. And your energy is going to that instead of learning more. With that being proposed, this different way of being where your energy recognizes that the energy around it is nor greater or lesser, that the nature inside and outside has the ability to inspire endlessness. Let us with that call to the unknown, to limitlessness, to be what helps us ground today. So with that call, I invite you into a small meditation. So take time to move around, get centered, Find a comfortable place. And let us then be here now. I invite you to Eek, the 3-breath practice by the path of Ish. As we give gratitude and thanks to Wind, who inspired this. And here, remembering that Eek is not just wind, it is about connection to prayers, to the divine, the portal into the unknown, into possibilities. It's represented with a T. And many temples had these T-shaped windows. Not crosses, T's. To connect to the spirit world. And so when we're doing this practice, we are connecting to all of ourselves, which includes that place of spirit. Entonces empezamos. A ver. Let's just take some breaths to settle in. Okay, here we go. First breath. In and out through the nose, welcoming our mind into this time and place. In and out through the nose, welcoming our body into this time and place. In and out through the nose, welcoming our essence into this time and place. With all three combined, we humbly approach Mother Earth and ask her for a root. And ask her to show us our root system and her root system, her proposed root. If you haven't listened to the episode, Rediscovering How to Ground, it's something like that. Go back and listen to it. It will give that teaching of approaching Mother Earth and asking for a root instead of thinking that we have what we need right now. As we always give gifts back, the gift that we are giving to Mother Earth as we're asking for this root is us. Our beingness, our breath, our creatureness, who we are. And as we allow Mother Earth to hold us, and we have these images that we've been speaking about the tree people and the grass people and the herb people. And we have this energía of Ik, of wind moving and flowing and stirring up what needs to be stirred up. Just allow this wind to move, to unsettle you. Wind can feel unsettling, but maybe you're not settled in a place in your mind, in your body, in your essence that is allowing you to actually grow. We ask wind to uproot those things that no longer can help us, to heal that root system that might have gone bad, have taken on too much water, have molded, have decayed, that has the disease of society. A human-centric society where you must master things or become mastered. That's the other part we didn't talk about. Why do people want to master things? Is because they do not want to be enslaved. What if we freed knowledge, beingness, and you away from that focus and that power struggle, giving you the freedom to just exist as a being on this planet and learn and make mistakes. That doesn't mean we're going to like making mistakes, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to hurt people when we're not making mistakes. We will hurt people. We just need to embrace that there is wisdom, because wisdom is learned experience. And hopefully next time we can continue to stay flexible and not have fear and anger and unforgiveness keep us settled in mastering things, but instead can we open up with forgiveness for ourselves, for others, for dominant culture. This life will hurt. This life will give you struggle. And there's not one thing you can do to avoid that. But you can learn how to be with yourself and all the beings in this planet in a way where we can all change, grow, and evolve and allow ourselves that opportunity. Can we shift into the song and dance and walk that road of wisdom and wonder with openness, with awe, with flexibility? Can we move there now with the help of Ik, the tree kingdom, the grass kingdom, all who teach us every day how to be in relationship with change? And trees, my friends, know genocide and massacre. And with that, giving it all to these energies and allowing us the opportunity to wonder and give gratitude and thanks to all the guardians, to all the ancestors who have allowed this space to open, to all of the elements who have held us, to Mother Earth. With that, let us take our 3 breaths in and out through the nose, giving gratitude and thanks to our essence for being in this time and space. In and out through the nose, giving gratitude for our bodies for being in this time and space. In and out through the nose, giving gratitude for our minds for being in this time and space. with gratitude and thanksgiving to this circle, to these topics. May we all walk that road of the student. And I hope to meet you next week in this place of wisdom and wonder. Shade. Once again, it is with deepest gratitude that I bow to you for joining me on this podcast, this episode, this circle, this plática, this meditation, this remembering. I hope that you have stayed curious. I hope to see you in the circle again next week. So make sure that you like or follow. Until then, may you be blessed with abundance of peace and radical self-love.